Hi friend, Niclas here from Your Audio Solutions. Hope you're doing well and welcome to today's show. On the show today, we have the founder of Music Industry How To, Shaun Letang. And musicindustryhowto.com is a website where he teaches independent artists and musicians how to make a living from their music. So if this is something you are struggling with, or maybe you're an artist, maybe you're in a band, you're a musician, and you're struggling to make a living, this episode is for you. And I think you're going to find the stuff we talk about in the episode inspirational and stuff that you can start working on afterwards. For example, we touched upon how to use YouTube to grow your fan base, make money, and set yourself apart as an artist or a band, musician. The benefit of diversifying your income as an artist, why you need to have an incentive for people to sign up to your email list. So, if you're in a band, you might have an opt-in for fans to sign up to your email list, but sometimes that's all you have. There's no incentive. It's just join email list. But as you will hear in the interview, you need more than that for people to actually sign up to your email list. Why the listen to my new song post that we see so many times on social media is not enough, and why you need to add value to your fans, and much, much more. And if you're interested in checking out Shaun's courses, I have left a link for you to click below. It's worth checking out, and I think they're really, really helpful, and it's going to help you make money from your music. So please check that out. But before we get into the interview with Shaun, I would love for you to join the Audio Tribe. Just click the link in the description below, enter your name and email address, and you're in the Audio Tribe. And you might be wondering, what is the Audio Tribe? Well, it's an exclusivity. So if you join, you get interviews before the public. You also get to attend Q&As and live streams that only you get access to if you're part of the Audio Tribe. So I'd love to see if you join. It's free, obviously. Just click the link in the description, enter your name and email address, and you have joined the Audio Tribe. So I'd love to see you there. But that's it for promotional stuff. Let's get into the interview with Shaun. Well, awesome, man. Well, thanks for coming up to the podcast, to the show.
Yeah, no problem.
I actually love to know, because I know we have not super long time, so I'd just like to get right into it, actually.
Yeah.
Actually, before that, let's just start out with how come you started the Music Industry How To website? What was the driving factor behind it?
Yeah. So I actually had another website before that. It's called Independent Music Advice. So I think it'd be better to explain why I started that.
Sure.
But basically, I started that because I was just doing a lot of music myself. I'm not sure how much you know about me, but I was kind of like doing music quite a lot in the grime industry. The first garage music and then grime music. And it got to the point where I was doing quite a few things. For example, I was kind of doing a lot of radio. I was touring, because I was up for I'm not sure if you heard of the Urban Music Awards, but I was up for an award there, and just distributing music at a time where it wasn't as easy as kind of just going on CD Baby and clicking distribute to all shops. I was literally going out, me and my friend going out to all record shops, sale or return deals, and selling to distributors directly, and people had started asking me how I'm doing things. So just naturally, I just started thinking, all right, I might as well document this. I'm literally having people all the time asking me how I'm doing this, how I'm doing that, because we had quite a big network of musicians at the time. So yeah, I just kind of put it all on the website, and I was always kind of thinking quite entrepreneurial. I was thinking initially before this, I kind of started my own digital download store because I saw. I'm not saying it's done really well or anything. I made some sales or some people, but it wasn't something that I didn't really have the technology to kind of to compete with some of the bigger players at the time. I was literally, people were ordering via PayPal, and then I was manually sending them the songs. So yeah, I was always looking for ways to make money in addition to my music. So yeah, I just started putting everything down, and yeah, it kind of took off organically from there.
Nice. So how come you changed it to this current website then?
Yeah, Music Industry How To. To be honest, I was doing independent music advice, and it was getting to the point where it's getting about a couple of thousand people a day. And like, and then it started to kind of decline in traffic because Google traffic, and it was because like at the time I didn't know at the time, but looking back now I can kind of see I was doing some marketing that wasn't probably best for Google. I was doing like there was kind of like I'm not sure what you call it. I can't even remember, to be honest, but there was an old service called Build My Rank or something like that, and you
Right.
basically kind of put guest posts on other places, like non-legitimate websites, basically just kind of used to kind of build you up in Google traffic. And then that whole network got shut down. So I thought, all right, I looked at it and I said, all right, this is the wrong way to do it. I need to do some real marketing. So I thought, let me just start clean on a whole new website, a whole clean slate.
Right, right.
And I've done that, and yeah, the rest is history. It's just taken off.
Nice, man. I mean, because so you said were you an artist in the grime scene, or you represented artists? What was it?
Yeah, I was actively making music.
Right.
I still make music now, but I'm not trying to kind of make it professionally anymore because I do the business side thing, and it's not really a case of I can't really do music full time and do the business full time.
Sure.
It got to the point where I had to kind of pick one or the other, and I've always liked music, but I've always liked business as well, and I thought this is the kind of perfect way to merge the two.
Yeah.
So yeah, I still make music fun now, but yeah, when I was like doing it kind of, it wasn't quite full time, but it was like I was making like a part time income near full time, and I was like working full time outside a part time job. Like I think at the time I was doing uni, and that was like a couple of days a week, and then yeah, I was doing that alongside it. So yeah, I started out in the garage industry. I kind of like do more vocals because, as they call it, MCing, and yeah, like it was basically me and a couple of friends, and then we kind of connected with initially a lot of other musicians in the area, and then literally I've done a project called sorry, I'm being a bit scatterbrained, but
Okay,
I've done a project called 2000 and West, because when I initially started making music, it was just me and a few friends, and I soon realized that there's so many other people doing music, and if I want to kind of stand out, I need to do something more. So before that realization, I had released a vinyl with myself and a kind of another guy in the grime industry, one of the biggest crews, Nasty Crew, and then I just kind of come off releasing my first mixtape, and I've done some good things in there. In terms of the quality of the music, it was like, if I must say myself, really good quality compared to a lot of what else is out there. But I made the mistake of I spent months in the studio, paid a bunch of money getting it mixed down, mastered everything, getting a whole bunch of guests. But then I ended up packaging it in kind of cheap printed like paper, like really bad design, just plastic wallets, and just giving out for free. And looking back now, that was the stupidest thing in the world to do, because I put in all the hard work, and then I didn't wait an extra 2 months to build up the money and put it into proper packaging where I'm gonna really stand out. Because if people don't like, you know, it's all about first impressions.
Sure.
And yeah, I didn't give a good first impression, but everyone that listened to it did like it.
Right.
But sorry, to go back to your question, sorry.
Yeah, so that was before grime was cool then, I guess, right? Or maybe it was even smaller, on a smaller scale back then, or?
Yeah, it was still quite popular, but it wasn't popular as in mainstream. Yeah, there was a lot of people doing it.
Oh yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
I mean, obviously, I'm sort of new to like that style of music. Like I first heard of it from Stormzy, obviously.
okay, yeah.
That's when I learned about grime and stuff. But you guys are doing it way back.
Yeah, like I was actually maybe about a month ago, was thinking about when it first started, because it originally started out as garage music, and then people kind of switched over to kind of doing a bit more, as they say, grimy. And I think that was about 2003, 2004. Right. So it was quite popular. I'm not sure if you know like Wiley, like he's kind of still about now in Kano, and they kind of pioneered the scene in terms of kind of getting popular and kind of doing it to the next level, starting their own events and stuff. But so yeah, like it was quite popular from the offset, just for the fact that there was already a big audience making garage music, and I just wanted to switch over when this new style came about.
Yeah.
But yeah. But going back to your original question, because you asked about I can't remember the exact question. Sorry.
That's all right.
But
Me neither.
yeah. But I like, long story short, after releasing my mix CD, I did kind of realize I'm just kind of one of many. Like even if I make good music, there's a lot of other people making good music as well. So I kind of decided to do a project where I kind of get everyone involved, because up to that point it was me kind of getting people like to kind of give me their attention? Can you go on my mixtape? Can you do this for me? Not, I wasn't saying it like that, but it was that kind of vibe.
Right.
But then I thought, if I do a project that kind of connects everyone, and I become the kind of the media platform rather than just the kind of another MC,
Right.
that would kind of potentially benefit me. So I put together a project called 2000 and West. It was a mixtape, and it featured like all of the biggest like grime musicians on there. And I put that together, and that's kind of when things changed. Like I started getting a lot more exposure because like, everyone started. It was kind of like inbound market. Now all of a sudden everyone's coming to me to kind of get on the radio shows that I'm doing, to kind of get on the CDs, and I just became known as someone that's putting together projects and kind of doing more. So yeah, that's also the kind of thing that led me into kind of creating a website as well, because I wanted kind of people to come to me rather than me going out trying to get everyone's attention. So
Right.
yeah.
That's very cool, man. I mean, you said something like being very interested in business and music, and especially these days, maybe I'm wrong, but these days it seems like you need to do both, especially as an artist or engineer or producer, whatever you are, to be honest, because being solely an artist, getting signed, that seems less likely and less necessary these days, right?
Yeah, totally. I do think there are ways you can kind of, even if you're not good at business, like there are certain things that and some people just don't want to do the business side of things at all, which is fair enough. But two things, if that's the case, you need to realize and accept you're not going to, most likely, unless you get lucky, get as far as you potentially could,
Right.
unless you actively do these things. And I think everyone needs to be at least a bit aware of business. Like, for example, there are certain things that people can do that don't feel like they're doing business, but if they do it, like, it's still moving in the right direction. Because I always say that marketing, for example, a lot of musicians think marketing, I don't want to do that, it's big, scary, I just want to make music. But marketing is simply the process of raising awareness, or just basically talking about your music, just getting on people's radar. So even if you're just having a conversation with someone that's into your type of music, that's still marketing to them. So it's just like there is things you can do which don't feel like they're technically marketing, but it does help get your the word out there. But in terms of what you said about record labels, I don't think it's 100% necessary these days, but I do think it is probably right for some people if you get the right record deal. No point getting a record deal just for the sake of saying that I'm signed, because as you know, a lot of record deals won't do anything for you.
Yeah.
And it may actually hinder you. So if the right record deal comes along and you really don't want to deal with any of that, I personally don't see there's anything wrong with that. But if you want to keep more control, if you want to kind of, you're open to marketing, you're open to kind of run a business, and you want higher profit margins, then yeah, like, I strongly encourage you to go for that. And yeah, yeah.
I mean, yeah, because record labels obviously take a huge cut. You know, it's like getting a really bad bank loan.
Yeah.
in my point of view, you know. Yeah, and when we have the tools are so readily available for us these days that
Yeah.
you probably can do a lot of it yourself, I guess. But what are some of the benefits of getting signed? You said like it might work for some people, but are there any like key, we're gonna call it key benefits of getting signed?
Yeah, like the way I see it is, again, it's going back to getting the right record deal, because the majority, like if most likely if you're just kind of, you're starting out and you've made some moves in the music industry, because not record labels aren't, well, the bigger record labels are not really going to approach you if you're not doing anything. Like these days they want proven acts. Like you need to kind of show that I'm already building a buzz. If they kind of start a conversation with you, you're gonna have to show I'm already making profit or I'm not. You're kind of gonna have to show what kind of money levels you are, because they want to invest in people that are proven. But if you've in a situation where you're getting a lot of record label attention and people kind of really interested in you, that's when you've got the chance to potentially get a better record deal. And again, like you said, it's not necessarily meaning you're going to be making a lot less money than if you do it yourself. But the benefit is that you get to scale faster. Like the record, like even if you've got money, you're working a day job, you're making, say, 20, 30K a year, 40, whatever it is. Like there's only so much money you're going to be able to put into your music career, especially if you got rent, if you got kids, if you're at that age. Sorry. But with record deal, like record label, if you sign and it's a decent deal, they're going to be able to put in a lot more money a lot faster. And that may take you like years, 4 or 5 years to put that level of investment out there.
Right.
And again, like I would recommend to anyone that is looking to do that to not kind of think of it, I'm doing this for the money, because as you said, sometimes you get no returns or you get a really poor return. But the level of exposure it could get you, it could potentially be worth it. Of course, like it would kind of depend on what stipulations you put in a record deal. You want to probably say, all right, this is a one album or one project record deal. I get to leave after X amount of time with no commitments, regardless of how that record done.
Right.
And if you can get your like good, of course, not all record labels are going to give you that, but if you manage to get the terms that you want, like you're going to leave that record deal maybe 2 3 years, and no matter what happened, maybe you want to stay on, but if you leave, now you've got that kind of that base level of kind of people knowing you because you've had all that marketing done for you, and then from there you can do the independent thing. You can say, all right, I've like hopefully you've been building up your own social pages and stuff along the way, and it's not in the control of the record label. Of course, you don't want to do that.
Right.
But I'm not sure if you know Kano, and I'm not sure how his record deal went down. But I know he was under a record label, and he released an album and some mixtapes, and he kind of reached a lot more of a wider audience just from doing that, being under the record label.
Right.
And now he's not under a record deal, and I'm not sure why he's not, if it didn't go well or whatever.
Right.
But a lot of that marketing still holds. Everyone knows his name. So in that kind of situation, I think it could be beneficial.
Right. Yeah, that's a perspective I didn't have actually. That's makes sense, to be honest. But let's say you have all the buzz around you, like all the stuff in place. Like you said before, record labels do pay an interest in you. I guess you can also run with that yourself, right? Because the demand to get signed is so high, I guess you can call it.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
definitely. I've never spoken to anyone. To be honest, not a lot of musicians. I get a lot of musicians approaching me, but not a lot kind of approach me when it comes to them getting a record deal.
Right. Right.
But the few that have, like, I've never seen them get a good first offer.
Right.
It's always a case of if you're just getting one record deal, most likely the record label, they're a business, and it's just common in this industry. They're gonna try to undercut you.
Right.
So yeah, like if you're in a position where you're getting a few record deals, you can kind of play them off each other. But yeah, unless you're going to get like really good kind of offers and you're getting multiple offers that you can use to leverage against the other record labels,
Sure.
then
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
most likely, yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Makes
not going to
sense.
be the best. Mm.
Uh, I mean, I have a lot of friends, and I guess you do too, of people who make awesome music. They're in bands or they do their own stuff. Um, but a lot of them don't make a living from their music. Um, so just wondering, you know, what are the common pitfalls people fall into that doesn't allow them to make a full time income, so to speak, or a career out of their music? Is there anything you have seen that's common?
Yeah, there's a few things.
Yeah.
But just off the top of my head, well, not off the top of my head, I've kind of spoke about this stuff before,
Right.
but the main things that I think about is a lot of the time people are doing the wrong actions. Like in the music industry, there are things you can do to kind of build a fan base, and then there are things you can do to make money. And a lot of people think all I need to do is kind of build up my fan base and the money will roll in, but it's not necessarily the case. Like, I've seen musicians that have got a decent sized fan base, but then there's people who don't really have a fan base, but they're kind of doing, maybe they're doing session work, maybe they're doing licensing, maybe they're doing whatever it is, and they haven't got a fan base, but that makes them money and they're kind of earning. So it's just like the first thing you need to do is kind of determine what the things are that want to make you money or that will make you money,
Right.
and determine what kind of musician you want to be. Is your main aim building up your name, or is the main aim earning money, or do you want to do a mix of both? So that's one thing. I had another point. It's completely completely went from my head.
That's fine,
But
man.
but yeah.
So were you saying, like one of the common pitfalls is to choose between one of those, or that you have to choose between one of those?
No, I don't necessarily feel you have to choose, but I feel it's important that you know the difference.
Right.
Because like, if you're saying, oh, I want to make a bunch of money for my music, like, and within 5 years, I want a big fan base and to be making X amount of money, like a lot of people have that aim, but then the steps they take to get to that aim just don't line up with, like, they're doing things that won't make the money, and it
Right.
may it will kind of either do the fan base or do the money. I think it's possible to do both, but yeah, like, again, I just think it comes to kind of just realizing what actions you need to take.
So,
So
what are the actions? Let's say, yeah, you want to make money. What are the actions you should take to, or maybe what are the actions you should avoid that doesn't allow you to get there? I guess that's a better question.
avoid. Okay. I don't know this if this is it's still relevant, but it's not as relevant as it used to be.
Right.
But the whole kind of giving out music for free,
Right.
like like I've done the same thing in the past myself, and of course you think if I give out music for free, then I'm gonna build a bigger fan base and I'm gonna be able to monetize them. But these days, music is just it's so readily available, and as you mentioned, good music. Like everyone knows lots of good musicians that are broke, and as an example, I remember kind of like when I was actively doing music, I kind of went to an event and I was giving out my first CD for free, and some people were obviously taking them home or whatever. But I remember like there was some that were just literally just left on the table,
Yeah.
and same way like if you when I used to go and post in forums before I knew about real marketing, like people would just kind of just ignore the thread, and it's like I'm giving out my music for free. It's good music. Why aren't people listening? Why don't people care? So I've always kind of thought it's better to kind of like build a fan base, yes, build awareness, but at the same time, just kind of have like I mentioned, inbound marketing, have people kind of coming to you because you're offering them value. People aren't going to listen to your music unless you're kind of giving them a real reason to. And yeah, yeah, again, I've gone a bit off topic.
Yeah, but that actually that's something I was wondering the other day. Like, and you just said it there. Like in terms of value, because there's so many. Let's take Facebook, whatever, Instagram. There's so many bands saying, "Listen to my new single, whatever," and expect people to listen by you just saying that. But there's no value in that, right? There's no engagement. There's no anything, and that resonates with what you just said about how you need to provide value. So what can artists do instead, rather than just say, "Here's my music, listen to my new song"? Nobody cares because right.
Yeah. I feel that musicians need to become more than just musicians. They need to become entertainers. And what I mean by that is right now I'm a strong, like, I really think YouTube is one of the best platforms for musicians right now, because basically, like, if you're just kind of putting out music and you're just kind of saying, all right, I've got an Instagram, Facebook, blah, 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 and I'm trying to get on Spotify, like hundreds of thousands, if not over a million musicians are doing that. But with YouTube, there are musicians that are kind of like they're being entertainers. So I personally coined the word music tag on. It's a really, really bad name. but by the time I kind of created and I put it out there, it kind of really caught on. So I thought, okay, I'm leaving it like that. But it's basically when you kind of take your music and then you take another interest you have, and you kind of combine the two to kind of like basically offer you something unique that's not really happening out there. Right. So, for example, one example I always give, like, I've got a few examples. I've got literally a list of like about 60 musicians that are doing this really well, like earning full-time income from their music. But like one example is a guy called Crank Lucas on YouTube. Okay. And what he does, he makes music. He's a rapper and a producer, but he also like his music tag on is comedy. So for example, like in his I advise any of you people that are watching this to kind of look him up. But in his videos, he's rapping, and he's and when he's rapping, he's kind of the beat playing in the background is a beat he's produced. Right. But he's making it funny. He's like, for example, like for example, one of his videos is about romance songs throughout the ages. So he does a romance song in the 80s, 90s, 2000s, 2010s, and how it's evolved over time, and it's quite humorous. So and he's got basically a bunch of videos like that. And when he first came out with that, he was the only person that was doing it. So it's allowed him to kind of like build up millions of views per month in a pretty short amount of time. Another example of this is someone called Miracle of Sound. I think his name's Gavin Dunn, and he's like he does, what kind of music is it? I'm not sure the genre of music, but he's kind of a singer and a producer, and all of his videos are kind of put to kind of yeah, he makes his own songs, but the videos are all based on like TV shows, films, and computer games. So he does that, and people again they just love it because it's different. It's not what most people are doing. With him though, he can't monetize that content, even though it's getting so many because obviously copyright
Right.
issues.
Right.
But he does monetize it through his Patreon. And he gets like he openly shows his numbers. Like, I can't remember his numbers. I haven't checked in a while, but he basically makes a full-time income. He's saying, "Oh, for every song I release, give me $1 or two," and he's got thousands of people like sign up to his Patreon. And he makes money from Spotify as well, because obviously his songs are all original. And there's so many. I can give more if you want. I've got so many names, but there are so
That's
many
pretty
people
cool.
on YouTube. Yeah.
So, so what was the name you had for this? What was it? Tag on? Was that what you called it?
Yeah, music tag on.
Tag on,
Again,
right?
excuse the name. Sorry about
That's all right.
that.
But so, how does it work then? So in these two cases, do you mean the content they're making? Let's take this last guy for example. So do you mean
Yeah.
he makes videos, or he makes funny videos, and then his music is in the background, or
Him personally, the first guy he's more comedy based,
right,
but
right, yeah,
but this second guy he literally just plays, for example, the Game of Thrones TV program. Like he'll make a song that kind of matches the feel of that program, and then in on the video you see like like clips of Game of Thrones just running through, and then
ah,
he's kind of like it's got dramatic music in the background, him
right,
singing, and she brings on guests, and yeah, like his audience really take to that. So it's really just about kind of having your music, but associating it with something, and it like could be a hobby, an interest you
right,
have, just literally something that just kind of makes you really interesting to a person in that niche. For
yeah,
example, let's say for me, for example, or actually, there's a guy called that's a pretty good example of how extreme you can get. But there's a guy called the Samurai Guitarist, and as you can guess, he's a samurai and he's a guitarist. But
yeah,
yeah, but if he was to kind of just make videos on just guitar or whatever, like there's thousands of people already doing that. But he's kind of like got the look of a samurai. He's I'm not sure his exact race, but he's Oriental, and in his picture he's got a picture of all him dressed in black, and he's got a bob on his head, and he's got a Japanese, yeah, I think it's maybe a Japanese flag. I can't remember. Don't quote me on that. In the background, and he's kind of really kind of like his whole talking is like this. He's really zen, and he's just kind of really quiet,
right,
and that's just his feel in the videos. But again, that's helped him kind of stand out from the crowd because like it's just it just brings he's not just another guitarist. He's something
sure,
completely different because he added an additional interest. So
right.
yeah.
That's pretty cool, man.
Mhm.
I think I saw a similar guy actually the other day on YouTube. I didn't check his channel out completely, but he was playing FIFA. Like that was his
Mhm.
video. But yeah, he also promoted his album
Okay.
before playing FIFA.
Yeah.
And that sort of ties in what you were talking about. So that's pretty.
Mhm.
It's a pretty cool idea, to be honest.
Yeah.
Very
To
cool.
be honest, like I do honestly believe it's kind of like one of the easiest ways to kind of stand out in the music industry these days because like I've talked about it with my audience a lot already, but there's a lot of people. There's kind of the way I say it, there's two camps. There's people that are doing music traditionally, and then there's people that are willing to kind of try something new and do what's working and use like the internet in a way it was meant to be. Because like even the people that do music traditionally, they know they need to get their music on the internet. They
Hmm.
know they need to sell online, etc. But like they'll go on YouTube or wherever it is, and then they'll do the exact same thing that was kind of
Right.
that people have been doing 10, 20 years ago, and it never really worked like that well if you're an independent musician then, but they know they need to go on the internet and it's doing the internet exactly the same, and it's just like you're going to get the same results.
Right.
Everyone's trying to do that, but if you actually look at what's working and you're looking at like the good thing I like about YouTube and Spotify and Patreon is a lot of the time you can actually see musicians like numbers. The numbers are literally right there. You can download tools and it'll show you, all right, this musician's who's doing things traditionally is getting a couple of thousand views a month, but these people that are doing it different, they're getting a couple of millions or more. Like some people are getting like 20 million views a month.
Hmm.
And if you work it out, you're looking at the average amount of money people make through YouTube views. You can work out how much they're making, estimated, of course.
Sure.
Same with Spotify. You can work out if you go on a Spotify desktop app, you can see how many streams they're getting. You can estimate how much they're working. Same with Patreon. Some people openly show you how much money they're making.
Right.
So like I mentioned, I've got a list of like 50, 60 people who are making full-time incomes between, or at least between 2,000 and like some people upwards of upwards of 30,000 a month.
Wow. Yeah.
So it's just like follow the people that are kind of doing things differently, and you could openly see they're making money rather than just kind of trying to just do the same old
Doodle.
thing. Never
Yeah.
really worked before. So
Yeah.
yeah,
That's super fascinating, man. I love that thinking.
yeah.
It's really necessary, I think. But let's say you start a YouTube channel, you are different. How do you grow your YouTube channel? Like, what's your advice on that, so to speak?
It would depend on what kind of thing you're doing. I personally think as long as you're doing the music tag on, like it's a lot easier because like when you're marketing your music on like YouTube or any other platform regularly, it's like it's an uphill struggle. Like the first aim is to even get people to care about listening to your music. But if you get on people's radars, however it is, whether it's paid advertising, whether it's social media, whether it's just through keywords or whatever, like you're instantly going to stand out. They're not like it's not going to be a case of banner blindness. I've seen this a million times already. They're going to be like, "What's that? That's different." Like, and then they're going to be more likely to click. So, but to answer your question, I would recommend like initially starting with kind of keyworded videos.
Right.
So, like if for example you're doing I don't know veganism. I'm a vegan, so so that's just the first thing I'm thinking of. But
Yeah.
if you're doing your music and veganism, like you may want to do, for example, let me think of some keywords. Is almond milk vegan, or is this vegan, or whatever? Just basically things that people are searching already, and then you kind of like modify that title and say, is almond milk vegan? The musician tells it how it is. That's a really bad example, but you know what I'm saying. Just basically add some or maybe add a question. Just make people want to click, and then you maybe have a kind of funny face on the thumbnail, and just get to people to click. But if you do enough of those keyword-based videos, if you do kind of 20, you're more or less guaranteed to get some traffic if you do the right keywords. If you're not going too competitive, because YouTube, the search engine is really open. If you're to try to got a website and you're trying to rank videos for keywords on your website, you're not going to get anywhere for months, like because it's so competitive. But with YouTube, you can literally put videos up and you'll start getting traffic within a few days if you do the right keywords. So I would always advise musicians to start out kind of doing keywords, and you can get keywords by basically if your viewers aren't sure what keywords are, it's basically things that people already search in YouTube. So going back to my example of veganism, someone might search is milk vegan, or do vegans do XYZ? If you literally go in YouTube, you can literally like suggestions will come up, and then you can see those are all keywords, things that people are searching for. There's a lot more to it, but that's basically the idea. So if you do enough of those videos, you will start to get traffic. In addition to that, I do recommend you doing kind of like manual kind of promotion initially, because the way you make these videos, they're going to be kind of semi-viral in nature anyway if you do them right. That's a whole big topic about how to make them viral, but they are going to be kind of interesting. So you're going to want to kind of manually go out there and kind of like go to where your audience is really hanging out. So if I was doing vegan-based videos, I would go into vegan communities and I'll be like just basically give a value at first, kind of like 10 posts, however many posts. And then when people start to get you and know you a bit, and just kind of saying, oh yeah, okay, by the way, I've done this video on veganism. I thought you might find it funny, or you might find it interesting, or whatever. You will get some clicks. You will get some feedback. But like sooner, if you do that enough, then you are going to get the one video that really just resonates with people, especially if you're reading forums, you're kind of like interacting with these groups already. You're going to know what kind of the kind of hot points are. And then sooner or later, you can put 20 videos in there. And then one video, like people are like, you know what I'm saying? It really resonates with them, and then they share it, and it just becomes like, it'll just take off virally. And then just doing one of those, you can go from like 100 subscribers to like 1,000, 2,000 subscribers or more subscribers. And the further you go along, the reason I love YouTube as well is the further along you go on with this process, the more subscribers you have, the more videos you do. YouTube takes over more or less all your marketing for you. Like when you get to a certain stage, like you don't have to do any marketing at all, because YouTube are like, all right, this group of people, this like vegans and people that are into like grime music or whatever, like or the weird mix of people that like both, like they love these videos, and our algorithm shows that these people like both things. So we're just going to push it to them and we're going to test it and we're just going to kind of keep getting it out there. So yeah, after a while, once you've done it enough, YouTube just starts all the marketing. But initially, you do have to put some elbow grease in, but it's a lot easier than just kind of like just having, like, for example, just if I was a grime artist and you're kind of going out there and you're kind of trying to do what I mentioned, you're not really going to stand out. And same with a lot of people are doing paid advertising, which is fine, but it's just like, it's so expensive, like in terms of not because you're giving out money, but because like the amount of people that are going to pay attention to those ads. So if you did want to put money into kind of marketing and you're doing a music tag on, I would advise you just kind of like put money into kind of connecting with influencers, like people with kind of like other YouTubers that got following already, or a vegan influencer, for example, if you're doing that tag on. And just kind of having them recommend you, because like when you're doing paid advertising, you're kind of, it's interruption marketing. You're just basically going out there and you're just basically interrupting what people are doing, and they look at their ads or they don't, ban of blindness, and then they just go about their day. And then even the people that click, they're just half-heartedly clicking. They don't really care. They listen to a bit of your music. They're like, oh, okay, he's good, and then they forget about you. Or they may if you've got a free download, they'll download it and then it'll end up on the computer and they'll be forgotten about. I've done it myself. It's just how it is. But if you're kind of doing it with, like, if you've got the music tag on and you're kind of stand out, and it's like literally like nothing else is out there, instead of kind of paying I don't know, just rough, like just a random number I'm thinking of, instead of paying like, for example, $10 or $1 to kind of get a click, or get, no, sorry. All right, let me rephrase that. Instead of getting kind of $3 to kind of get an email subscriber, or for example, or a social media follower, you're going to be paying 30 cents, because a lot more people are going to be converting. They're going to see your what you're doing and then what they like to convert, because it's something different. So yeah.
But do you think people should be focusing on getting YouTube subscribers, or they should try build an email list? What's your thought on that?
I think both. Because both of them have different uses. If you're talking about email lists, like email lists, they're kind of, it's more for selling, and you can build up some deeper connections as well, because as we know, with all of the social media platforms these days, like, it's not really possible for them to kind of give all of your messages and all of your videos out to every single subscriber, because there's so many people doing videos which you need to compete with. But at least if you've got an email list, like, these people, they're kind of more, they've taken the next step. They're not just clicking subscribe and then that's it. They've actually gone to your website, your sign up form, and they're kind of filling out their information because they want to hear from you. So I think it's good to build up YouTube subscribers specifically, because it's basically, you're feeding YouTube algorithm. They want you to have subscribers. They want more watch time. And if you do that, they're going to reward you by sending your video out there more. So definitely build up your subscribers. But once you've got the YouTube subscribers, then you try to convert them over to your main list, as just the kind of, if YouTube ever goes down, if Facebook ever goes down, whatever platform, they've all gone down in the past. I was there during the days of MySpace and like even FacePick and whatever, just, they all go down sooner or later. So, or they become, as Facebook has shown, they become less responsive to marketing. So yeah, I think both, like, just kind of use the subscribers to kind of communicate, but build a connection.
Yeah, so for bands and artists, because I've seen bands, friends of mine, who only have like, oh, join the email list. That's all. Yeah. There's no, again, going back to value. There's no added value for their fans to join the email list, and I guess you can see it a lot, just bands saying join the email list, but there's no reason to why. Do you have any thoughts on that? Like, why bands need to give something, like add more value to get email subscribers? Because, as I said, it's not enough to just say, hey, join, but you need, there's no reason to why. Does that make sense?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
I feel one thing that I feel could turn around a lot of musicians' music careers, or just help them approach it differently, is they need to think about things from the point of view of when this happens to them. Like, they need to ask themselves, when was the last time I've been on a website, whether it's another musician or another a type of business, and there's been a form there that says join my email list, and you've signed up. Now, it may happen occasionally, but it doesn't really happen because there's no real incentive and there's no real reason to. You're not really explaining the benefit. So I do think it's worth kind of given some kind of incentive, it'll depend on what stage of how much they know about you, what kind of incentive you would kind of need to give them. So, for example, if you get in the subscribers from your YouTube channel, and these people like just from kind of past research that these people have like probably most likely watched a few of your videos, like put a sign up form there that's gonna kind of offer them, you can get for example, this exclusive EP or this song or my exclusive behind the scenes lyrics or whatever it is, whatever kind of incentive that you feel that a true fan would want. Right. But if you're kind of just advertising to them and you're kind of, these people don't know much about you, you're not really going to want to do that, because they're going to be like, I don't really know this person. Why am I going to give my email address to hear a bunch of songs that I can go on Spotify and listen to a bunch of songs? It doesn't really matter. Yeah. So for someone like that, you may want to kind of think of a different kind of incentive. Can't really think of anything off the top of my head, but
it needs to be more than, it needs to be more than just join, essentially.
Pretty much. Just kind of get in. If you like, just think of it, for example, if you're a fan and you're just browsing your kind of like website, Facebook or whatever day to day, what's going to make you stop and think, okay, I need this in my life, I want to put in my details to get this, what they're showing me. Like, that's what you need to think. And if you're not offering something of that value that will kind of give enough kind of intrigue and value when they get it, because of course, like, you want to deliver on what you say you're going to give them, because from there you put up a connection and then you can kind of push them to your music. If that's not what you originally got them for, maybe you did, maybe you didn't, but that's pretty much what we need to do.
Yeah, exactly, man. I watched this video of yours a few days ago about, I think it was about making your band or group, whatever, into a brand. And I think you talked about, I think this was the same video, but you talked about like building tribes. I think it was one of the angles. So it was like maybe Logan Paul, whatever his name is. That his name?
Okay, yeah.
He has a tribe. I forgot the name of his tribe, but
yeah.
I see a lot of other people.
The Logan.
Yeah, exactly. And I see other people, making their fan base, you become something. You become this group. I thought it was super fascinating, and I think it's something bands and artists should apply. So I would love to just hear, some your thoughts on that topic.
Yeah, I think that is very important, because a lot of musicians, like, of course, this has changed somewhat over time, but I still don't see it happening enough. Like, obviously, like, I don't know how, I'm just, again, putting rough years, but 20, 30 years ago, a lot of people wanted to do the kind of unreachable musician thing, like talk to you and that's it. It's not really kind of two-way, but obviously with the kind of social media age, like, that has needed to change for a lot of musicians. Of course, if you're kind of like top of the game, if you're a Nicki Minaj or some big artist, it's not as important, because people are going to flock to you no matter what. But when you're still at a stage where you're building your kind of audience, and even if you're a stage where you're making money and you're earning full time from it, it's really important to kind of build that personal connection, because if you don't, and then another musician who makes equally as good music and they're charging the same amounts or whatever, they offer exactly the same in every other way, but they're talking to you and this person is not, your fans are of course going to gravitate to the other person. So I do believe, especially when you're building up your fan base, when you want to get involved, you don't just want to post a Facebook share and kind of not talk to people. And of course, I'm saying this, I've been guilty of it myself. If you look at Music Industry How To, I've been guilty of not doing that, but that's because I've got different aims with that brand. So, but as a musician, that's something you definitely need to be doing. And as you get bigger, of course, you're not really going to be able to reply to every single person. But there are ways you can go around that. So, for example, Logan Paul, he does it really well. I mentioned he's got his Low Gang. At the beginning of all his videos, he's like, "What's up, Low Gang?" Blah blah blah, and talking to them, and he does respond to kind of people's comments. So it may not be personal. He may not say, this person left a comment and blah blah blah. But like any big kind of talking points that he gets a bunch of comments around, he'll go and make a whole other video about that. It's like, so some people have been telling me blah 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 blah, and then he'll just kind of go into it. So you do feel as a fan, you're going to be, there's a chance you're going to be heard, and then you'll kind of type in, and then if you don't get heard in that video, then you're gonna I've got to get in the next video, and then you're typing and trying to kind of talk, and of course the commenters kind of talk to each other, and it's just the whole community thing, and that's really important. And I do think YouTube allows that a lot more as well, because if you're doing that on Facebook, of course, like all people are seeing is you just posted a kind of a message. But if you're doing it on YouTube, it's like you've got someone actually talking to you. You can see the face, and it's a lot easier to build a connection with someone like across video. So yeah, that's my thoughts on that.
Yeah, it's super fascinating, man. I thought it was really, really cool. I think people should, yeah, pay attention to it and go check your video out. I'll leave a link actually in below so people
Oh,
can.
thanks. I can't
Really
even I
cool.
can't even remember where that video is, but thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome, man. But just talking like like Spotify, like just making money from your music. Which which platform would you say is best for people to go, or not maybe to go to, but to try to utilize? Because I guess Spotify, you need so many streams to actually make something out of it. So, do you have any other suggestions of how to monetize your brand or music?
Yeah, if you're someone that wants to, again, it's going to be a couple of different groups. The first group is people that want to kind of do the musician route, where you want to be the kind of the band in the spotlight, or the kind of solo artist in the spotlight. And then there's people that are just that like being in the music industry, but they don't want to be the musician, so they're going to make money different ways. For example, like
Right,
your
right.
studio engineer, and just maybe you want to be a promoter or whatever else it is you do in the music industry. So if you're the musician, like I'm a strong believer that you need to kind of diversify your revenue streams. You need to kind of stack your income sources. And I know I keep referring back to YouTube, but a lot of YouTubers do this well. The people that are actually making money, like a lot, nearly all of them. I haven't done the exact maths of how many, but they've got at least three main revenue streams. They've got the YouTube ads, they've got the Spotify streams, and they've got Patreon. And that's just become the norm in that industry. I'm not saying these are the best ways to do it, but
Right, right.
people who are doing this are making full-time income, so I can't even argue with it. But if you wanted to take this to the next level, some people, what's that guy? And there's a guy called Andrew Huang on
Right, yeah,
YouTube.
yeah, yeah. He's cool.
Yeah, you know him, yeah.
Yeah,
And he kind of makes music with kind of like different instruments. So, for example, he'll make it from whale sounds, or sample whale sounds, or pigeons talking, or whatever.
yeah, yeah.
And then he'll make songs out of it. And he does different types of videos now as well. But that's kind of what he originally kind of got big for. And he sells sample packs, so other producers can use his samples.
Right.
He got sponsored videos. He's does the whole. I think he's got Patreon. I can't remember. And Spotify. But again, he's got so many ways that he makes money from it, and some of them. I think was it the YouTube ads? Sorry, I haven't looked into his stuff for a while, but I think it's the YouTube ads alone makes a full-time income based on his numbers. It should do at least. But then of course he's adding to it Spotify with sponsors. Obviously, at his level, he's getting for each video at least like 100,000 views, if not a few 100,000. At that level, the sponsors are paying you a decent amount of money, like, so you don't even have to get kind of sponsors all the time. And a lot of those income sources, he's not doing any additional work. Like, for example, like a lot of people say Spotify streams, you're not making a lot of from it, like it's not worth it. I totally disagree. Like, it's only not making money if you're kind of doing a traditional music route, because it's not easy to get that many streams, or not easy to get that many YouTube views. And I'm not saying if you use the music tag on, all of a sudden it's kind of your overnight success, you're getting millions of streams,
Right.
but it's a lot easier. It's definitely achievable. I couldn't confidently go out and say, if you're just making music like everyone else, even if you make good music, I can't confidently say that you're going to be able to get 1 million streams a month on YouTube,
Right.
or like 100,000 streams on Spotify. You can, but it's an uphill struggle. But when you kind of do something different and you stand out, there are so many people that have already proved, like, it's not even me saying it. You can literally look on online and literally see all of their numbers, and you see, all right, are these people doing the same things that the traditional musicians are doing? No, they're not. Are they getting many more views? Yes, they are, and many more streams. And when you do that, that's when it becomes worth it, because you've got Spotify, Patreon,
Right,
just
right.
all the different income streams. So yeah, that's what I advise for musicians.
Right. That's awesome, man. Yeah, very fascinating. Actually, before we wrap up, I mean, there's so many things I think people can take away from this interview. So yeah, thank you for sharing everything you have shared so far.
No problem.
But before we wrap up, could you let the people know where they can find more about you, how they can check your website out, how they can learn more from you and your courses and stuff like that?
Yeah, so right now it's just musicindustryhowto.com. That's the website. And yeah, as you mentioned, I've got courses, but I've also got a bunch of guides which are kind of free. Like it just crossed over 1,000 free guides now. Some of them written by myself, some of them I've got a lot of other people, musicians and music industry professionals. Some people full time, some people part time, some people just maybe they're not making full time income or any income, but they're really good in one area, so they've kind of shared their knowledge there. Over 1,000 free guides. If you want to kind of take the next step and kind of basically like the website, it's a kind of there's a lot of different topics are talked about. So it's good for people that want to know one specific thing, for example, how to license your music or like just basically specific questions about the music industry. But for those people that kind of want to do music professionally, I will advise them to kind of sign up to the email list. They can do that. They get free ebook videos and stuff. And yeah, and from there, that's literally focused on people that want to do music professionally because, and you get free weekly guides because a lot of people that visit my website, they're just doing hobbyist musicians. They're not really at that level, like that stage where they want to do that. So, and then, yeah, if you want to kind of learn even more, then there's the courses, but that would naturally come if you're interested enough. Majority of people don't do that, but there are always people that would want to kind of take it to the next level and do music professionally. So that's for them. But start out with the free stuff and then see what you think.
Awesome, man. Well, yeah, I'll leave links to that so people can click.
Cheers, thank
and
you.
are you on social media at all? Like you have a YouTube channel? Do you have Facebook page?
Your Facebook page is just independent music advice. Facebook.com/independent music advice. But if I'm being 100% honest, it's not really where people are going to get the most value because I don't communicate with there as much. There are some people that talk, but it's not really. I haven't grown that community. But I'm actually going to be starting YouTube properly. I've kind of done YouTube because I actually kind of got a different business in different niches, like so music. And like I said, I just love business, so I do music because that's my passion thing. That's where I started, and that's where I'll always do. But yeah, right now I'm going to be focusing on YouTube. Like I'm going to kind of it's done so well for me in other niches. I'm just going to think, all right, like, I want to give this to the YouTube community, the music community. So YouTube. I'm not even sure what the YouTube URL is, if I'm being 100% honest.
But yeah, I'll find it and I'll link it.
Yeah.
Awesome, right, Shaun. Well, yeah, thanks for coming on. It was a pleasure.
Yeah. Thanks again.
Thank you, Shaun. It was a pleasure talking to you, and I hope you, the listener, enjoyed it too. And I hope it was really valuable to you. So if you are an artist or a musician or you're in a band, I hope you can take away some of the stuff we talked about in this interview. And also, don't forget to check out Shaun's courses. There's a link to that in the description, of course. And also, it would be awesome if you can hit subscribe to the channel, leave a rating if you're listening on Apple Podcast or Spotify, if they do that sort of thing. And also, don't forget to join the audio tribe, get exclusive access to interviews, Q&As, live streams, and much more that I will come up with in the future. But that's it for today's show. It was awesome seeing you again. I will see you next week. So take care.